Hey guys, so we're going to look at layers today. The previous videos, we looked at layers as a whole per module, what was the beginning and end of those groupings. Now we're going to try to look at these layers in a little bit more detail. We'll try to keep it high level just so that it doesn't become really boring, as just talking about layers is not that exciting admittedly. But we'll just try to keep it high level. I'll try to get through this quickly. If there's any questions about any of the layers, those questions will be dealt with more as we go through each step by step to create a proposed development beginning to end. So I'll just try to keep it high level. So here we had the layers grouped. So 0 to 100 was the pad alignment, PhD, 101, 159, drainage, ground modeling, private drainage, etc. And then here the gray, which is the pad alignment, PhD. Those are the layer, all those layers grouped. Okay, so let's look at the first group. So 0 to 18, that's your horizontal alignment annotation. So it's basically, here we have changes for the start of the curve and end curve, which is yellow. You have the regular change intervals, which is the blue. You have the changes for intersections, you have tangent points on it. So it's all the information that you need to give to someone to basically go out and peg out the road. So that's what the horizontal alignment is. So if you're missing your changes, it's most likely in this group and it's turned off. Next is the profiles. So 19 to 39. So you have your horizontal annotation, all begins with HA annotation. Next, 19 to 39, it begins with section. So those are your section boxes. So let's scroll out and we come to this. So this is a road profile, changes, levels, alignment levels, profile lines, major, minor, your curve. And so if we just take this group for a moment, there we go, all that disappears. Now you notice that this vertical element hasn't gone. That's another group. This is just purely the section boxes and the section lines that is used to put that information onto it. So if you're missing the section box but you just got the vertical design of the road, that group somewhere is turned off. So let's just turn that back on. So let's go to 19 to 39. There, got your profiles back. So these profiles apply for your pad alignment and they apply for a PhD highway. Okay, so let's look at the vertical design. Now, on this, there's the vertical design and then there's the carriageway edges and center line. They're a bit different. The carriageway lines get added on and we design your carriageway. Turn this off. That is your 3D design. That is the vertical design of the road. So the red is your straights, the cyan is your curves. And if you did the highway alignment design, you'd have a few more extra lines in this just for that. Let's scroll down. So vertical grade parallel, which is what those two are. Crossfall alignment, existing alignment. These ones get used when you're doing the PhD highway. So if you can't see your road vertical design, it'll still be this group that's turned off. Let's look at 3D projection lines now. The 3D projection lines, they take your 2D design and they project it up onto the, if I just quickly just turn some of this off. Oops. This takes your 2D elements and makes it into a 3D surface. So let's take this. Let's turn our 2D horizontal alignment on. There. So this is our this is our 2D straight followed by our 2D curve. So the truck is going to go straight along this road. It's going to turn and follow this little stub road. And so this is the 2D information that you set for the alignment, and this group is going to take and is going to project this up, making it into a 3D surface based on those vertical design, based on the vertical design that in that profiles that we just saw. So let's turn the layers back on. Master, which is 49, 50, 51. So in that little group, we turn them on. There. So here's the start of the curve in 2D. There, you go all the way up. That's the start of the curve in 3D. End of the curve in 2D, go all the way up. End of the curve in 3D there. End points of the road. And then you have your, in this case, lavender, which is the change in vertical gradient. So that just basically takes it 2D to 3D, and you can't get rid of these. This is something that was automatically generated, and I always just have it off because it just gets confusing. We were trying to look at it in 3D. Okay, batters. So let's go view set top. Okay, so batters, they're in 54 to 56. Now you could do your batters in your DGM modeling, or you do your batters for your roads in PD alignment. Both were equally the same. The only difference is if you do the batters in pad alignment or highway, PHD highway, when this road is raised or lowered or even shifted horizontally, those batters will follow it because they're tied to that road. If they're in ground modeling, it won't amend itself automatically as that road changes. So it pays to have your batters for your roads done using these two commands, 54 to 56. Now, if you want to see how your road looks like with all your cambers, you can turn on layers 57 to 62. Carriageway annotation. So you designed your road, you put your camber on it, you go to your profile. There, the red I believe is the left hand side. Yeah, carriageway annotated left hand side. So that's the left hand side channel. This is your right. Carriageway annotation channel, right hand side. So you need to either turn these on or off accordingly, and if you get into the highway designs, you use more of these layers. One really important one, if I make this 3D again, you have these yellow lines, and I would just quickly say that when you create, that's on layer 63, when you create your junctions, it'll, before it says do you want to proceed with this junction, it'll take and draw the curve on this layer as a yellow line, so you can check it before you approve it, before it becomes final. So it's really handy having these layers, this one layer turned on as you do your road design. So that's 63. Whoops. Geometry 2D, that's layer 63. This is more just layers in here which has to do with your pod overlay and your volumes when you set your road-based build-ups. I never really use them. 70 to 78, those are your visibility displays. So instead of drawing it manually in CAD and PDS, if you've done your roads using the pad or highway alignment, you can generate the visibility displays. It makes things a lot more easier, and these are all what all the layers come in. Now, as said before, you do have some breaks in these groupings where there is no set layer names, but these do get used for various things. So you have to be careful if you decide to name them. Things like 80 gets used for the road features, and 79 as well. So you have to be a bit cautious in terms of using these. You'll pick it up as you do more of them. 91, 92, this is all your 2D line work. So like we said before, that's all your horizontal 2D straights and curves. So that's the first thing you draw when you do these roads. You draw your horizontal alignment, and that's what those layers are on. So if you're drawing your straight and it's just not coming up, chances are those layers are turned off. 93 to 94, we got some more free layers, and then you have your carriageway. So that's the center line of your carriageway, and then that's the curb edge of your carriageway. So basically the way it works is you draw your 2D line work in CAD, which is your layers 90 to 92. You create that, and then you go to your profile and you do your your vertical design using layers 40 to 44. Great. You then select your horizontal lines and you go project this road alignment as a 3D surface. So it takes that alignment, takes those graphs, and it creates a massive string line which the road hangs off of. So if I do this, so there you have a straight, massive straight line. So when we projected that 2D straight line, it did this. If I turn that one off, and then when I create your carriageway, is basically drawing a center line that hangs off of that massive string, and you have your center line and your curb edges. So if you got your road, for some reason again you can't see it, your carriageway 90 to 92, they're probably turned off. If we go back to the top, so 79 to 80, just some miscellaneous ones. 81 to 84 get used for your features when it's creating those features for your roads. Then you got 85 to 89, some more free layers. Laybys, self-explanatory. If you did a lay-by along your road, it creates it in the default layer. It would draw a lay-by, saying maybe you have a lay-by here for 3 parking bays. It would generate those lay-bys on that layer. High point, low point. You can annotate your road for the high and low points, so you know where to put your gullies and where the catchment area is. But that's all your road design layers. Going through them in a little bit more detail rather quite quickly. Again, I'll go through them in more detail when we do the road design, but that's the overview.